Yeah. Okay. For this virtual meetings, we would like to ask all participants to put your microphone. The microphone is the important on mute. And if you have any questions and comments, we welcome this very much, but please use the chat function. And we have two experts who really watch the chat function. So we will choose after the session a few of your questions to get answers from the speakers. And if we cannot answer to every question, we will send you an answer later on by email. And and I would like to ask our speakers to put your microphone by yourself to unmute when you speak then. So the program for this afternoon is the session number 3, Innovation and Best Practice from Industry. And first information I have for you, our Vice President for Africa, he is Lee McMaster from South Africa, from the Minerals Council. He just informed us that unfortunately he suffered a traffic accident. So it's not a serious one, but some damage on the car, and he was not able to reach his place to do the moderation. So I will replace him. I will try to replace him. And the topic is innovation and best practices from industry. And I'm very proud and happy that we can welcome one of our keynote speakers in the beginning of the session. This is Mike Parent. He will share with us the path to zero by innovation. And Mike Parent is the Vice President of Workplace Safety North in Ontario in Canada. And he has a diverse background, which includes working as a paramedic and underground miner before shifting into a career in health and safety for different organizations. Before joining Workplace Safety North in 2015, Mike was the Corporate Health and Safety Manager at KGHM International. Mike has completed executive training with the International Institute for Management Development in Switzerland, and he also possesses an environmental management certificate with the Royal Roads University and a health and safety certificate with Cambrian College. So a very distinguished speaker, and I would like to ask Mike to share his screen, and I stop my sharing. So the floor is yours, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Helmut. I'm just going to ask, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to come and share a little bit about my story. Again, I don't see myself as an academic. I believe I'm, again, a person who came into a profession as a paramedic in mining, and then I grew into roles, very practical. So I'm going to share some of my learnings, and you may agree with some of my theories, and maybe you won't agree with some of my theories, but I think it'll make for good discussion after my presentation. Again, about my organization, Workplace Safety North. We are a provincial health and safety association here in Canada, the province of Ontario, and our organization has been around for more than 100 years. Workplace Safety North also administers the Ontario Mine Rescue Program, which many are familiar with. We have definitely a strong following of our Ontario Mine Rescue Program, and our vision is every worker home safe and healthy. And this is our building here in Sudbury, and I'm sitting up in the office right now in the top left corner, sharing with you this morning, or my morning, I guess probably evening for many of you on this call. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share with you a little bit what I've learned about management systems, culture, climate assessment and audit tool, people, and one very important thing. Before we go too far into my presentation, I mentioned earlier that I was a paramedic and then I was hired on by a mining company, and I was intrigued about mining, so I transferred to the underground department. One of the things that were permitted at that time, it is no longer today, was that we could get into a loader. So you can see here, we call them scoop trams here in Canada, and we could get in the bucket and we can do work above the ground. The one requirement is that you had to be tied off, and you could see the lanyard here that you used to tie off to make sure you didn't fall out of the bucket. On my first time being given a task with work above me, I was assigned to work with a seasoned worker, and that employee was the operator of the scoop. And I got into the scoop tram and he raised me off the ground. I was probably about 9 feet off the ground to fix the ventilation piping. I asked the question when I show this slide, was I tied off or not? And the reason I ask is because the consequences, if I fell, were pretty catastrophic for me at that level of 9 feet. And the answer was I was not tied off. And that's kind of confusing, because at that time I was also taking health and safety courses. So when we look at some of the books I read about leadership and behavior, is we always behave towards our values. At that time that I was standing in the bucket, I valued my kids. They were very young at the time. They were very important to me then as they are today. I valued my partnership with my spouse, very important to me. I valued my career. I had aspirations, things I wanted to do in life. I valued my sense with the community. I've always been involved in youth sports and other parts of the community. It was very important to me the time I spent doing that. So why would a person who is aspiring to become a health and safety professional, who values their family, their spouse, their career, their involvement with the community, knowing that if they fell out of the bucket, could be crippled, it could be worse, could be a fatal injury, not tie off? And that's a tough question. Often the answers I receive is probably I wasn't trained. Maybe there was no lanyard available. Perhaps, my partner, gave me false information, but none of that is true. I knew I was supposed to be tied off. The lanyard was available. And my reasons for not is I was new underground. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to belong. And when I saw other people working out of the bucket, they didn't tie off. My partner didn't ask me to tie off or force me to tie off. And that's just to show how powerful workplace culture is. It takes what we believe are givens, like you behave towards your values. And I've shared with you what's most important to me, my values, yet here I was in the scoop bucket, not tied off, putting everything at risk. I think it's important that we highlight that at the beginning of this presentation. Next in my journey, after I worked underground for a few years, I moved into a health and safety role at a small mine called Podolsky. It's no longer in operation. And I was new to health and safety, but the operation had significant issues, a lot of injuries and incidents. They had poor housekeeping. And I was fairly new to health and safety, but I was very aggressive. And I worked with the new management team there. They had replaced most of the leadership. And we improved housekeeping. We tightened policies and procedures. We did the training that was required. We looked to involve the workers into some of the things we did. And very quickly, we saw a turnaround. Even the mines inspector that came to the site was very impressed with how quickly we had addressed many of the conditions. Within a very short time, we stopped having incidents and injuries. So it was very positive. I was very pleased about that. With only months in as a health safety professional, I was actually promoted. I think that the management was very impressed with the approach, the logic of how we structured health and safety, and they want to see more of that at other projects. So I moved to the central office. Only a couple of months into my new position, I got a call from the engineer at the mine. And he said, "You need to come to the mine right now." And I knew something was very wrong. And I left and I came to the mine site. And when I arrived, it became quickly probably the worst day of my life. When I came to what they call the head frame, I saw grown men crying. I saw some blood on the ground, and I saw the paramedics leaving the site with their lights and siren. It became evident to me something really bad had happened, and I was informed that the person involved in the incident had died. I knew the person. I knew that he had a wife and kids. I knew that he enjoyed the outdoors. I knew he cared very much about the people he worked with. After all of our efforts to make that workplace safer and better, it seemed to do nothing for me. I was just so disappointed to this day that we didn't do more to protect this employee from that. And I told myself, this will never happen again. We will do better. After the incident, the organization I was with hired a vice president of health and safety. They didn't want a repeat of this ever again. And this gentleman believed in management systems, and he introduced me to the world of management systems. And at the time, OHSAS 18001 was the standard that most were gravitating to. We convinced our senior leadership team that we should certify to OHSAS 18001. We hired a consultant to assist us. We put in all of the elements. We worked at making sure the documentation was in place. We did an internal audit, and then eventually came the external audit, probably about 6 months into that journey. And we passed, and we were putting the certificates on the wall. We now had OHSAS 18001. I was very proud that we were the first mining contractor in North America to certify to OHSAS 18001. Only about 4 or 5 months after we were certified that I realized that this was a beast, and the beast needed to be fed. We had to continue to have paper and time, and it took a lot of commitment. And with the size of our organization and the resources available, we were struggling to keep feeding the beast to maintain certification. And at some point, I had to talk to my boss at the time, the VP, and some managers, say, I think we should stop trying to keep certification. It was taking time off the floor and introducing new risk. I'm not against management systems, but I believe that our motivation was to get a certificate on the wall, not necessarily reduce risk in our workplace and make the workplace safer. We believe that would be an outcome, but I wasn't sold that it was an outcome. And if anything, I felt we were actually increasing the risk by applying all of our time and resources to feed the management system. Other things happened in my career that challenged my belief in things like ISO standards. And I'm not against ISO standards, but again, the motivation of an organization to go down that path is what I challenge. We had at one site, which I'll talk about in a moment, ground support wouldn't install like it was supposed to. There was flaws in them. And we kept working with the organization that would manufacture these. And they kept saying, don't worry, we're ISO 9001. We have a quality control system in place. Until one day we had a serious injury, a lost time injury. An employee was seriously injured because of a defective equipment. I was incredibly upset and frustrated. And I brought a small audit team to their manufacturing plant a few days later. And we were going to audit their ISO 9001. What we found at that plant is there were a lot of great workers, great people. There was no quality management system in place. There was a binder. They had assigned a person probably only a few days before to be their quality person, but the persons on the floor did not understand all the complexities of the management system. All things like calibration tools weren't being calibrated, non-conformances were not being actioned on. There was no true quality management system. I saw this to be true in other incidents as well. There was a work platform I was involved in an investigation, the exact same thing. We went to the plant, we did not see evidence of a true quality management system. Another hose fitting incident, we went to that plant, we also saw the same thing. The motivation for these manufacturing plants to get ISO was they needed to be able to do work with some of the bigger companies. The bigger companies never went and audited to find out if there truly was. They simply accepted that there was a certificate and that was acceptable. Another experience I had is when touring a surface plant at another company, not in Canada, as a tour, being provided with a tour, I was very appreciative, but I did notice a significant health hazard in one of the plants. And when I discussed it with those giving the tour, the manager brought me to a wall and he said, look, you don't have to worry about it. We're ISO 45001. The management system has this. And that again further supported my belief that sometimes what we think is a great initiative like certification of management system may not be accomplishing what we had hoped for. And without naming companies, if you step back and look at some of the largest catastrophic events in mining specifically in the world, some of these companies really relied on their management system to be taking care of things. So again, I'm not adverse to management system, but they need to be proportional to the size of the organization. The motivation for them should be about reducing risk in the workplace, not a certificate up on a wall. After these experiences, I knew that I had to spend more time thinking about other things that influence health and safety in the workplace. And that became obvious on my experience and self-reflection of my behaviors in the workplace as a miner was culture. And culture is often what people consider as what really happens in a workplace. You can have the policies, the procedures, you can have the rules, But what is really done in the workplace on a Saturday night shift when nobody's looking? So I spent time, and I was very fortunate to cross paths with some new leadership that really believed in culture. And they were on the other spectrum, that it's only and all about culture. One of my stories I like to share is the McCready West Mine. So this new leadership comes in, we're invested in culture. I was still believing in some of the principles of management systems. But in 2008, the world changed, the markets dropped, base metal prices dropped. And this small operation, which is the mine that had built the company I was working with at the time, was going to be cut in half as far as the workforce. We were going to be left with about 120 workers. And the reason to keep this operation going was really about retaining some of the talent, because in the conditions, we weren't going to make a lot of money. This change in the organizational structure happened in December of 2008. Between January and March of 2009, we had a number of incidents, a couple of serious injuries, and one almost potential fatal incident. And this just didn't make any sense at the time, a small workforce with so many incident injuries. And the manager brought the whole crew in. He was a very caring person, and he sat with the workers and he was honest with them. He said, I can't operate a mine that's not really going to make any money. That's just going to hurt people. That's just not logical. And I don't know what to do. I care about you. I want to keep you working, but whatever we're doing isn't working. And from there on, things changed, and the workforce started to take ownership, and they started to talk about what they could do. And the energy grew in the room. And then we had a second meeting with the other crew, and the same thing happened. And the workforce developed their own principles, what they would do to make sure that they could work safely. This was by them. All I did at the time was record what their commitments were. We made posters. But even without the posters, we start to see evidence of this in the mine operation really fast. We saw some positive graffiti in the underground. We saw housekeeping efforts improve significantly without the push by management. And even the contractors working at our site bought into this. Everybody worked together to try and make the operation safe because we had to, and they wanted to. That operation had gone well over a year without any incident at all, not even a first aid injury. And many challenged me on the integrity of that. I was there every day. I'm an integral person. Also, the KPIs showed that this to be true. Production was way up. Maintenance costs were way down. We had no health and safety incidents, but we also had almost no absenteeism. Everybody was at work and healthy, and all the other metrics followed. So a strong business case to be made on health and safety. Now, why did we lose that record? If you remember back to my speaking about the ground control support that failed us, when it failed, it caused a lost time injury. So again, a lot of frustration by the workforce that they had done their part, yet something outside of their control, their influence, caused them to be injured. This had me reflect on, if systems are important and culture is important, why aren't we looking at both? 360 view, kind of the ecosystem of health and safety. When I came to Workplace Safety North, we developed a culture system audit. It's in Ontario, we had a group that worked because of the mines review, because the number of fatalities, traumatic fatalities in 2014, look at all things. And one of them was to look at the internal responsibility system, how each workplace party contributed to the health safety in an organization. We did an audit at six Ontario mining operations. More than 2,000 persons were involved. And out of that, we sent all of the data to the Institute for Work and Health, who study the data. And they contacted me and said that the audit, which looked at systems and culture, had a direct correlation with the lagging indicator. The system score, the audit score, directly correlated to the bad things happening. This was really, truly now what we call a predictive indicator, a leading indicator. We also noted that when we overlapped the maturity of the system to the maturity of the culture, we could identify system gaps that could be filled. So if an organization was looking on their continuous improvement plan, we could show them where the system is weak, but the culture is supporting it. But if you don't put in the system controls, at some point that culture may not continue to support it. Again, the most important part here is that the CAT perception survey scores were strongly correlated with the incident of work-related injury and illness, 100% of the time. I could go on and on a lot more about the CAT audit, what we determined, but I don't have time in this presentation today. In my journey, this is also when I continue to reflect about people. People implement the management systems, people do the work. There are people who give directions, there are people who set the expectations. And again, I challenge organizations on the way we perceive this. This is a typical management hierarchy. We have the employees at the bottom of the pyramid, their supervisor on top of them, the middle managers, all the way up to the CEO and the board of directors. And my challenge on the thinking is, if you're looking at a hierarchy to support cultural transformation, it has to happen at the board of directors, then the CEO, and all the way up to the workforce. And we need to look and think about things differently. If you want an organization to support that cultural transformation, you need a culture-based management system. You need to integrate the employee involvement into the workplace in all aspects. And for that, the board needs to select a CEO that truly wants to see this as part of the organizational culture, that health and safety is important to them. And then that's translated to the behaviors of the vice presidents and to the managers, middle managers, all the way to the frontline employees. And almost as important, possibly more important, is that there's an opportunity for input both directions. It's not just from the CEO all the way up to the frontline employees, but there's an opportunity for the employees to see themselves in this and be able to share information that goes up through the supervisors all the way back to the CEO. We kind of call that the plan, do, check, act, right? The continuous improvement circuit, but integrating that into organizational structure. And that one very important thing I mentioned earlier, sustainable occupational health safety innovations. When we look at occupational health and safety, we're talking, when we talk about involvement of workers, it's not just communication, it's not just participation, it's beyond participation, and we're looking at employee engagement, and that has to be by design. It's not once in a while we involve and engage our employees. It really is into all of the things in our system, whether it's the identification of hazards, the assessment of risk, the control, that we bring in that employee engagement. And when we talk about the employee engagement, when we look at things like the risk assessment, which to me is foundational to any management system, it's about not just talk about rules anymore. Rules are really controls. They're things we identify that need to be done or have some level of risk mitigation. And perhaps we need to evolve to calling them controls rather than rules. And again, if the employees are involved in identifying the risk, assessing the risk, and also most importantly, helping contribute to what those controls are, we tend to see that employee engagement helps those buy into the plan and conform to those controls. One study showed the engagement effect on KPIs. So again, an organization that had high engagement with their employees showed higher profitability, sales, and productivity, customer metrics, but they saw far less quality, client safety, employee safety incidents, and also had high impact on turnover. So I've said a lot in a very short time, and I know there may be an opportunity for some questions for me to answer based on what I've shared. Yesterday, I listened to Jose's presentation in the morning, and he said, we have to not just be there, but we have to walk the talk. And that leadership, that's the portion where employees see the leaders engaged and involved in their workplace, I can't say enough about that. For workforce to believe that their leadership cares about them, they're in their workplace and they're setting expectations and ensuring those expectations are met goes a long way in my experience. That's my share for this morning, and I'll take my last couple of minutes to hear from any questions or thoughts from you. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mike, for sharing with us your experience, the way you made so far. And I think you mentioned a lot of interesting aspects we could discuss now for the next 60 minutes. But we have to move to the next presentation. If we have some time, we can answer some questions at the end of the session before the break. But I would really motivate our participants to ask the questions in the chat. And so even if we have no time today, we will pass them through to the speakers and you will receive an answer. So thank you for this keynote, Mike. Now from the north of the Americas, we go down to the south of the Americas, to Chile. And it's my great pleasure to welcome Milagros Altuna Sotomayor from Chile, but she is not born in Chile. I think, as I know, she is an industrial engineer from Peru, and she has, of course, families, and she has 2 children who are great painters, as I learned. Yeah, she is currently living and working in Chile for Anglo American in Chile. And she made her education with a specialization on quality, health, and safety environment at the University of Vin del Mar in Chile. She is an industrial engineer from the Universidad Nacional de San Agustín in Arequipa in Peru, and she holds a diploma for international trade from the University Católica in Peru as well. And she supports as a volunteer the firefighters, which I find very interesting. So your topic, Milagros, is the digitalization and what does it help us in safety and health in mining. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that nice introduction. So I did see some people joining from Peru, so hello to everybody. Let me go straight to the presentation, and please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we see it. You must go to presentation mode.
Yeah, I'm trying to go there.
Excellent.
Can you see it now?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. I just wanted to be able to share with you a bit of our vision around safety, risk, and health here in Chile, and walk you through a bit of this journey that we're going through, and of course, the digitalization and how that impacts within our vision. So I was listening to Mike's presentation, which, by the way, I found very interesting, and I agree with a lot of the aspects that he did mention. And it's quite funny because you'll see some of those aspects of also reflected in this presentation. So once again, I'm the lead, I'm the head of safety and risk for Anglo American in Chile. And this is what, this is just something that highlights the vision that I have for our organization here. So we're undergoing this transformation. And what we're doing right now is shaping our organization towards some safety and occupational health of the future by developing and driving transformational mindset shift of the way corporate leads and manages safety whilst embracing our operating model and organizational model. So all this fancy wording means at the end of the day, that what we're trying to do here is to really transform the way we manage safety and health towards the future of what we want to do. When some people ask me, so where do you see safety going or your team going 5 years from now? I say, well, hopefully we're running out of a job. That's my typical answer, because once we truly are able to embed safety and health within the organization, there will not be more need of people or officers or safety professionals walking around all the time, but rather just to manage and handle a management system, as Mike said, that has to be well implemented accordingly to the organization, the size, the maturity, etc. So if we look at our strategy, which is fully aligned with Anglo American's strategy here, we do focus on people, the portfolio, and innovation. It has become a really, really big area or big pillar within our strategy. What do we do when it comes to people? We put people at the center of everything that we do. And of course, for us, and as you all know, Anglo American has a zero harm vision. But when we really talk to our people, we actually want to go beyond that zero harm vision. We have a number of really big initiatives around these, around security, safety transformation, or management systems, occupational health exposure, trauma and emergency care, wellness. We have a number of different initiatives that we're working around to help people get the levels of competency and get ready to really face the risks of the future. Of course, we also are ensuring that now we walk towards a very integrated and transversal model that allows us to conduct a predictability way of preventing the risks and the incidents of the future. So we're working really hard on that end. When we look at all of these things, of course, innovation has to play a key role, because if without that, we continue to do a lot of things manually. And when we do so, well, we lose a lot of time. We don't do it at real time. We just have to wait. And a lot of things can happen as we continue to do things on a manually basis. So with that said, the first thing that I maybe would like to, I don't know, how do I move this? But bear with me. Maybe the first thing that I want to walk you through really quickly is just the whole transformation process that we're going. So this is part of our strategy. It's we're aiming to be challenging, transform, and understand the way we achieve safety. So for us, when we talk about safety, we don't talk about that the excellence of safety is the absence of incidents, but rather we believe that it is the presence of competencies. So the fact that we don't have injuries in our workplace is just a consequence of the management and a consequence of the leadership that we can generate within our organization. So for us, in order to truly lead towards this transformation, we need to revision our values. We need to change our mindset in terms of what do we believe safety is. So we want to move away from people being the cause of incidents to being actually the strongest link of our chain. We also have to reset our strategy and the approach that we typically have. We are known as organizations that are very highly compliant with procedures, standards, etc. But we actually want to reset that strategy to have people much more empowered and competent in order to assess risks. We need to realign our leaders. We need to realign those practices. Mike was saying earlier that it is very important that when we want to go through a transformation, a cultural transformation, everybody aligns all the way from the bottom up and up to the bottom. So that is precisely what we're doing. We need to refocus our processes and our performance. We cannot aim to spend the same amount of time and efforts in incidents that are not high potential incidents, but rather just common incidents, than spending more time towards the incidents that can really impact people's lives. So we are not saying here that we don't care about little incidents. We do, they are important, but we have to balance the time, the effort, the actions, the engineering that we use behind those that can really impact people's lives. We also have to re-engineer our systems. And I'm talking about our risk system, because we want to generate people that are empowered, that are questioning constantly our status quo. We want to see our procedures changing if they have to change. We want to see people even breaking a procedure if that will make them safer, that they have to call it out, they have to raise their hands, and they have to let us know that this is happening so that we can improve. And in order to get there, of course, we need to reskill. We need to make sure that all people have the right competencies, the right knowledge, the right training, so that we can start giving them all these tools for them to start questioning if they have to our own systems in order for us to become an organization that is resilient. And of course, this is just one big milestone for us, but in a long-term strategy, we have another higher level of safety maturity that we call it restless. We want to get to a restless state when we are continuously and actively looking for more. What is so important for us is that we have a really strong engagement and communication plans, because we need to make sure that we are getting to every single angle in our organization. And that, of course, includes our contractors, which, by the way, we're changing that name to strategic partners, because they are as important as anybody in this organization. And in order for us to make this possible, we need to fully embrace our operating model and our organizational model. So with this introduction, I can take you now to our digital strategy that, of course, is going to help us accelerate and support these changes within our organization. So I know a bit confusing here, and I won't stop in each one of these icons, but I just wanted to help me read this from the left to the right. So on the left-hand side, you're gonna see our management system. So like everybody has this. We have our operational risk management process, or global standards, technical standards, risk assurance. We have a program that is called Learning from Incidents, which is basically the program that helps us in conducting investigations and learn from them. Of course, I did mention our operating model, or Elimination of Fatalities program, which is a program that has been run in Anglo American for the past couple of years, or at least. SHE-WAY, which aims and mimics ISO now 45001, and our Safety Transformation program, which is what I just presented to you, and our organizational model. So we take all those core elements for us, and then we start prioritizing and identifying the things that we really need to improve on, the analysis that we want to do. And with that, we identify some solutions. So one of them is real-time DCM, Digital Control Monitor, which I will explain in a bit of detail later on. We have digitalization of controls. We have a system that is called Octopus, that what it does is it helps digitalize all of our risk system, all the way from the baselines, the boat times, the JRAs, to all the documents that are needed within that process, including the feedback process. We have another project that is called Dynamic Risks, that what it does is takes into account or critical control monitoring process, but at the same time, it takes inputs from assurance, it takes inputs from different elements, including incidents, that will allow us to know exactly whether our controls are at risk or not. We have an e-health hub that I'm going to also talk to and be a bit more specific in terms of COVID. And also we do have the Advanced Driver Assistance System, which is ADAS, that is a system that has different devices that I know other companies do have too. But what this is doing is aiming to help us control and manage the way people drive the different vehicles or equipments that we have. And of course, Isometrics becomes our database where we input and put all of the information and data that we have within the organization when it comes to safety, health, risk, environment, among others. So what do we want to do with the data? We want to make sure that we have a very robust data analytics process, predictive data model, and data visualization. So at the end of the day, as also Mike was saying, people or workers or users are the most important end user for us. So we need to make sure that any initiative, any project, anything that we develop is a user-based experience type of initiative, meaning that when we think about all of these things, we need to make sure that the end user is really enjoying this, is really using this. And we do have our IROC, which I don't know if you know, but this is a remote operational center, integrated remote operations center, where we're going to be able to visualize all of these technologies and digitalization in one screen. Of course, we also have a big piece in training, which we call immersive training, because nowadays, as you know, training in a classroom is no longer possible as it used to be. So now we're using virtual reality, LFI 3D animations, interactive animations, and 360 virtual school, among others. So with that, and conscious of time, I'll just highlight a couple of those digitalization or digital initiatives that we have. And this is one of them, 3D animations for continuous learning, or LFI process. So basically, as many others are currently doing, we are using 3D animations to show the learnings from different incidents. And with that, we're aiming to get to everybody in the organization so that they can actually learn and go back and check again when they need to. So we also have a big initiative in the organization where everybody is getting a mobile device or a tablet that will allow them to access to all of our systems digitally. So instead of sending emails or sending cards or doing anything manual, we are currently using this, and we're going to be able to show videos such as this. I won't show the whole video. Sorry. I won't show the whole video because I know there is some time limits today for this presentation. But I guess where I'm trying to go here is to show you that digitalization and technology is here to stay. And we have to keep using these tools, including digital twins that we have already created in our operation and that we're going to be using in order to train people also when it comes to safety and health. Another big project that we have here is called DCM, Digital Control Monitoring. So as you all have within your organizations, we do have a baseline. We have identified or major risks. Within them, we identify our critical controls. So right now, a high number of those critical controls are done, the monitoring process is done manually. Yes, although we upload all the information into Isometrics, it's done manually. So what we're doing right now is we're in a process where we are digitalizing all of our critical controls. We are connecting them into a platform here. And with that, we are going to be able to have a real-time information process that is going to be situated in our iROC, where basically the operator is going to be able to see real-time, 100%, 24/7, how our controls are performing. And of course, we're going to have a TARP associated to that, so that in case we start racing or having issues with any of our critical controls, we can automatically action or something that will stop it escalating to the next level. So this is probably one of our most inspirational and important projects that we currently have, because this is going to really, really help us understand whether our critical controls are stable, are reliable, and are robust enough for our organization. Another one that I was mentioning is ADAS, the Advanced Driver Assistance System. So basically what it has a number of different components, as you can see here on the right-hand side, that allows us to check different things such as fatigue, speeding, distractions, etc. And I know lots of organizations have this already, but what we're doing through this is we are creating or generating a couple of KPIs that are going to help us whether you have a high risk or a risk tolerant driver, which is one of them. And the other one is one that is going to help us predict fatigue within the future days of practice. So basically what we're doing is that we are renewing the different devices that we have constantly in order to send us different alerts, again, real time on screen, so that we can action before the incident occurs. Finally, one of the most important things that we've been doing here, as any other organization too, due to the pandemic, was how to manage COVID. When we started this process as anybody else, of course, we did everything manual. I still remember it was March the 18th of 2020 when we decided that we needed to do a checklist at the beginning of the shift in order to check for some symptoms. And what was that? It was literally a piece of paper that we had printed out and had people filling in. A few days later, we had it online and we were able to launch it. Then we realized that we wanted to help people via phone or some way so that they can also ask questions and help them. So we started this whole system with the help of Cognitiva, where we were able to put all of our different controls around prevention, identification, and screening, consultation, testing, tracing, quarantining, monitoring, and then going back to work through different systems, such as a smartwatch application that allows you to know whether you are in a hazard area, whether you are too close from other people, and that, of course, it gets all the information from the people that you've been working with or in some proximity to, so that you can do some traceability afterwards. We do have a whole call center that it's allowing us to conduct a proper case manager, where we have doctors, we have nurses, we have professionals, with a whole system that is having the data of all of our workers, all of our contractors and their families, in order for them to be able to access to all of this technology. So for us, COVID, of course, impulsed and made us move much faster when it comes to digitalization, because we really, really needed to be as expedite as possible in order to answer and to help our people. So for us, and in the health hub or in the health side of the organization, COVID was the beginning of the digitalization area, but that didn't stop there, because now for us, we have to make sure that all of this process of digitalization around COVID is also transversal to all of our occupational health programs and plans. And we're doing that, and we are using isometrics, as I said before, in order to make sure that everything that we need from our workers, the medical history or hygiene monitoring things or medical tests, everything is loaded into our isometrics platform. But what happens then?
1 minute, okay.
Thank you, I'm finishing right here.
Good.
So at the end of the day, we are developing a digital health hub or e-hub that at the end of the day is going to help us have health chatbots, telemedicine, health applications, wearables, and different things that are going to allow us to move towards the future when it comes to health. We're going to start including more modules in there, such as smoking cessation program, weight loss control, etc. So for us, when it comes to digitalization, we need to make sure that we're able to sustain these changes and to support the transformation that we're going through as an organization. So thank you so much for the time, and back to you.
Thank you very much for this really rich presentation. I have so many questions, but unfortunately I have to wait to put them. I think maybe we will organize an extra workshop with you, if you agree, because I think all what you are doing to do this transformation process, it's so interesting, and I'm sure people would like to have much more information and ask some questions. So thank you very much for the moment, and I would like to move to the next presentation, and now we come to Russia. So we have really a global summit here, and it's my great pleasure to welcome Sergei Aleshenko. Mr. Aleshenko is the deputy chairman of the Social Insurance Fund of the Russian Federation. And he is in charge of the issues of accidents and at work projects devoted to prevention of injuries and professional rehabilitation. And the Russian Social Insurance Fund is very active in Vision Zero and very active in the International Social Security Association. So we are very glad that we have you on board here, Sergei, in our ISA Mining Summit, because we know Russia is a big mining country, and the floor is yours, and we are waiting for the introduction to what the fund is and to your pilot project of the fund.
Добрый день и спасибо за предоставленное слово. От имени Фонда социального страхования Российской Федерации позвольте поприветствовать всех участников международной секции МАСО по профилактике профессиональных рисков в горнодобывающей промышленности.
Good day, good evening, and on the part of the Social Insurance Fund of the Russian Federation, let me greet all the participants of our international section of ISCA on the prevention of occupational diseases in mining industry.
На протяжении последних 5 лет статистика Фонда социального страхования свидетельствует о снижении впервые выявленных профессиональных заболеваний. Так, в 2020 году зарегистрировано 3494 случая впервые выявленных профзаболеваний. В общей структуре страховых случаев профзаболевания занимают 10% от общего числа страховых случаев.
According to our statistics, during the last 5 years, we see a decrease in the occupational diseases cases. Thus, in the year 2020, there are 3,494 cases, and in the common pool, those cases are about 10% of all the insurance cases.
Но вопросы предотвращения профзаболеваний в настоящее время являются особенно важными, так как это прежде всего связано с сохранением, укреплением здоровья работника, но это, соответственно, и трудового потенциала страны.
But occupational diseases prevention is a very serious matter because this is the health of a worker. Thus, it's our manpower, our work potential.
Анализ профессиональной заболеваемости работников Российской Федерации свидетельствует, что наиболее распространенными профессиональными заболеваниями являются нейросенсорная потеря слуха, вибрационная болезнь, пояснично-крестцовая радикулопатия, профессиональный бронхит.
So if we look at the cases of occupational diseases in Russian Federation, the most common cases are sensory neural hearing loss, hand-arm vibration syndrome, limbosacral radiculopathy, and industrial bronchitis.
Наибольший коэффициент частоты профессиональной заболеваемости в 2020 году отмечается на предприятиях, занимающихся добычей полезных ископаемых, обрабатывающих предприятиях и на предприятиях транспорта и связи.
And in the year 2020, the most occupational diseases cases are on mining and processing enterprises, transport, and also telecommunication enterprises.
Анализ производственных заболеваемости работников показывает, что на протяжении последних 5 лет наибольший процент среди нозологических групп профессиональных заболеваний занимают заболевания, связанные с воздействием производственного шума, диагноз нейросенсорная тугоухость. В связи с этим фонд ставит ориентиры по принятию мер по предупреждению наступления таких страховых случаев.
And the analysis of all the cases shows that during the last 5 years, the biggest percent of occupational diseases is sensory neural hear loss. And of course, our fund sets his goal as preventing those insurance cases.
Реализация профилактического подхода предполагает наличие действенных механизмов оценки профессиональных рисков и комплекса мер по исключению или хотя бы снижению уровня их воздействия, включая вывод работников из вредных производств, то есть так называемая защита временем.
And our prevention approach assumes that we have some assessment mechanisms. We can assess the risks and we can take some measures to prevent those risks, including the worker withdrawal.
Фондом были проанализированы виды экономической деятельности, в которых по зарегистрированным заболеваниям, связанных с воздействием производственного шума, и по результатам проведенного анализа среди основных видов экономической деятельности лидирующее место занимают деятельность воздушного транспорта и железнодорожного транспорта.
So our fund analyzed all the cases containing those occupational diseases, and as we can see, the leaders, the leading numbers of cases are in the air transport and railroad transport industry.
В целях недопущения дальнейшего развития профзаболеваний и установления степени утраты профессиональной трудоспособности работников с выявлением ранними признаками воздействия вредных производственных факторов и развития профилактики профессиональных заболеваний, основной акцент смещается на ранее выявленные профзаболевания, недопущение развития профзаболевания и временный вывод работника из вредных условий труда.
So in order to prevent the further development of occupational diseases and to establish the degree of loss of professional working capacity of employees with early signs of the impact of harmful working conditions and the development of prevention of occupational diseases, our main emphasis in the framework of periodic medical examinations of employees should be placed on identifying those early signs.
В целях реализации такого профилактического метода сохранения здоровья граждан, занятых на работах с вредными и опасными условиями труда, направленные на недопущение и раннее выявление признаков профзаболеваний, в текущем 2021 году фондом реализуется пилотный проект, который охватывает работников гражданской авиации и железнодорожного транспорта.
So, in order to realize the preventing method of keeping our workers safe. Our fund in the year 2021 realizes its pilot project, which will affect the workers in railroad transport and avia transport industry.
На участие в пилотном проекте дали свое согласие публичное акционерное общество «Аэрофлот», акционерное общество авиакомпании «Сибирь» и открытое акционерное общество «Российские железные дороги».
And the Aeroflot, S7 Airlines, and Russian Railways agreed to be the participants of this pilot project.
Финансирование реализации пилотного проекта осуществляется за счет средств Фонда социального страхования. Сроки этого пилотного проекта до конца текущего года.
And it will be financed through the Social Insurance Fund of the Russian Federation. And the date when, well, we plan to embody this pilot project until the end of this year.
В рамках этого проекта хотелось бы посмотреть возможность через проведение профилактического лечения нивелировать воздействие на здоровье работников вредных производственных факторов.
And during that project, we would like to negate the harmful impact of harmful work conditions to the workers' health.
В рамках реализации пилотного проекта осуществлен временный вывод застрахованных из вредных условий труда при выявлении у них ранних признаков воздействия вредных производственных факторов. По результатам периодических медицинских осмотров с целью проведения профилактического лечения на базе центров реабилитации нашего фонда с последующим мониторингом состояния здоровья.
So in that pilot project, we try to identify the early signs of exposure to harmful factors based on the results of medical examinations. And if we find those signs, we use the preventive treatment in the rehabilitation centers.
По завершению профилактических мероприятий работник возвращается на прежнее место работы.
And after the end of those preventing measures, the employee may return to the previous workplace.
Я уже сказал, что финансирование происходит за счет Фонда социального страхования. Так какие же расходы оплачивает фонд?
So, as I said, this whole project is financed through our fund. So, what exactly is funded?
Это профилактическое лечение работников с выявленными признаками воздействия вредных производственных факторов в центрах реабилитации фонда. Это проезд к месту осуществления медицинской реабилитации и обратно. Расходы на оплату отпуска работника сверх ежегодно оплачиваемого отпуска на период осуществления медицинской реабилитации. И это расходы на оплату дополнительного медицинского осмотра по результатам профилактических мероприятий.
So what is funded? The prevention of occupational diseases, the transportation to the place of medical treatment, the additional vacation days, and of course the medical examination post-treatment.
Мы ставили перед собой следующие вопросы. Необходимо определить контингент участников пилотного проекта, определить диагностику или виды, эффективность диагностики, выявления медицинских показаний к профилактическому лечению, формирование программы реабилитации, методы лечения и анализ результатов профилактического лечения в рамках пилотного проекта.
And our main issues are to determine the participants of our project, to do the diagnostics and identification of medical indications for preventive treatment, the rehabilitation program creation, the methods of treatment, and of course, analysis and results of preventive treatment in the framework of our project.
Учитывая, что у работников авиационной и железнодорожной отраслях есть своя медицинская база, клиническая больница гражданской авиации, центральная дирекция здравоохранения, железной дороги, соответственно, то по работникам этих отраслей имеется возможность осуществлять мониторинг здоровья работников как до, так и после проведения профилактического лечения в дальнейшем в динамической основе.
The workers in avia and railroad industries have their own medical base, a very powerful medical base. And of course, we want to be able to monitor their health before and after the preventive treatment. And we plan to do it furthermore.
Таким образом, на основе многочисленных результатов медицинских осмотров, проводимых в соответствии с нормативно-правовыми актами, регулирующими проведение медицинских осмотров в этих отраслях, был осуществлен отбор работников, которые нуждаются в профилактике профессиональных заболеваний.
We analyzed the medical examination results and we created the list of workers who are in need of preventing of those occupational diseases.
Медицинскими организациями совместно с центрами реабилитации фонда были разработаны индивидуальные программы профилактики профзаболеваний на работников с повышенным риском развития профессионального заболевания органов слуха от воздействия производственного шума.
Our medical organizations developed the individual plans of preventing those occupational diseases, specifically for the workers with additional risks of getting occupational diseases related to the industrial noise.
В указанных планах определены необходимые профилактические мероприятия, методики и средства, применяемых при проведении профилактики профзаболеваний, направленных на исключение или минимизацию хотя бы рисков развития профзаболеваний с целью последующим возвращением работников к труду.
And those plans contain all the methods, all the ways to get rid of, or at least to minimize all the risks of developing of those occupational diseases. And our main goal, of course, is to have the employee return to their workplace.
Что мы ожидаем как итог пилотного проекта? Первое – это выработка модели по управлению профессиональными рисками посредством вывода работника из вредных условий и проведения профилактического лечения. Это сохранение трудоспособности работника в его профессии и таким образом продление профессионального долголетия. Это предупреждение развития профессионального заболевания, это осуществление динамического наблюдения за состоянием здоровья и снижение в дальнейшем финансовых расходов страхователя и страховщика.
What is the result we want to see? Well, at first, it's the development of a model for managing occupational risks by withdrawal of the employees from harmful conditions and conducting preventive treatment. It's preserving the employee's ability to work in his profession. It's the prevention of the development of occupational diseases. It's dynamic health monitoring, and it's the reduction of financial expenses of the policyholder and the insurer.
И второе, это при положительном результате, это предложение по распространению данного механизма и отработка его в рамках пилотного проекта на другие отрасли, на других страхователей.
And the second thing is the extension of the mechanism that worked in our framework to other industries, to other fields of work.
На следующем этапе фонд предполагает продолжить реализацию этого проекта, расширив возможность его применения также для работников угольной и металлургической промышленности с наличием признаков воздействия вредных производственных факторов на органы дыхания, опорно-двигательного аппарата в виде вибрационной болезни радикулопатии.
And in the prospects, our fund wants to realize this pilot project for also for workers in the metallurgical industry or and in the coal industry. And we have to keep in mind that the most common cases are radiculopathy and vibration syndrome.
Россия является одной из ведущих горнодобывающих отраслей в мире и составляет значительную часть производства ряда минеральных продуктов, включая металлы, промышленные минералы и топливо.
Russia is one of the leaders in the world of mining industry, and this is related to metals, to industrial minerals, and to the fuel.
По отчетным данным фонда, в 2020 году зарегистрировано более 22 тысяч страхователей, относящихся к предприятиям горнодобывающей промышленности, на которые работают 1 миллион 100 тысяч человек.
According to our data, in the year 2020, there are 22,094 insurers that work in the mining industry, and there are more than 1.1 million workers there.
Численность пострадавших в связи с несчастным случаем на производстве и профзаболевании составляет 3000 страховых случаев в год. Из них 1245 случаев – это профзаболевания.
So the number of people who got into the incidents during those, the number of people who got into industrial incidents or those who got the occupational diseases are 3,005 insurance cases, and among them 1,760 incidents during the work, and 1,245 cases of occupational diseases.
Если говорить о видах профзаболеваний в горнодобывающей промышленности, которые регистрируются сегодня в статистикой фонда социального страхования, то наибольшее их число связано с воздействием производственных физических факторов, составляющие 39% составляют заболевания, связанные с физическими перегрузками и функциональным перенапряжением отдельных органов и систем, 21% заболеваний вызваны воздействием производственных химических факторов, 14% заболеваний связаны с воздействием производственных химических факторов. Последние 14% можно опустить.
So if we look at the percentage of our cases, the physical factors are about 46.2%, 39.4% is diseases that are related to the physical stress, 21% is diseases due to chemical factors.
Горные предприятия относятся к одним из самых травмоопасных. Меры безопасности в местах добычи полезных ископаемых категорически необходимы. Такого рода предприятия имеют прописные строгие правила, используемые десятки лет, и безопасность должна быть гарантирована на каждом этапе работ. Повышение производительности труда в таком виде деятельности не должна влиять на повышение рисков, которые и так достаточно.
Mining enterprises are ones of the most dangerous, and we need safety measures during the mining, and of course those kinds of enterprises have some strict rules that are used during decades by now, and the safety must be guaranteed on every stage of the working process, underwater, on the water, on the ground, and on the ground. And even if we want to increase our productivity, it should not affect the risks, because there are a lot of risks already.
Именно поэтому мы считаем, что вопросы здоровья трудящихся, безопасности труда, внедрения новых программ, технологий охраны здоровья лиц, работающих в условиях вредных и опасных производств, в настоящее время являются наиболее актуальной темой не только в нашей стране, но и во всем мире.
And this is why we think that the issues of workers' health, the safety at the workplace, and the implementation of new programs and new technologies in that field of work, well, this is the utmost important questions, not only in our country, but all around the world.
Спасибо за внимание и надеемся на плодотворное сотрудничество.
And I would like to thank you for your attention. And of course, I hope for our long-term cooperation.
Thank you very much, Sergey, for this very comprehensive insight to the Russian system and the statistical data, and especially for this extremely interesting project. And I'm sure all of us we will be very interested in the results as soon as they can be presented, and how you can extend it to the mining especially. So we are looking forward for a very good cooperation. And now I would like to inform you that we will make some small changes because we are a little bit late. So I would like to ask Alex Morales if we can cancel his short summary and insight to the group, to the working group we have, maybe to the later time. Do you agree, Alex? Are you here? I cannot hear him, but I guess he agrees. And so we skip the presentation. And the second announcement is I would like to suggest that we skip the short break as well to gain some minutes. I think everybody is free to take a cup of coffee and a glass of water during the session, but I would like to go on to the special session, which is to honor the winners of the Health and Safety Award of the International Lyme Association of the ILA. And therefore, I would ask Dr. Frank Ohnemüller. Frank, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you perfectly. So thank you very much. And I would like to hand over to you to moderate the next 45 minutes. We will have some of the award-winning companies with their great ideas amongst us, but I guess not all can be present, but you have the details. So please take over and inform us about the ILA Health and Safety Award and why you created such an award. We are very interested. We see.
So I hope everybody can see my screen already.
Yes, perfect.
That's good. Yeah, hello everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity for the International Lyme Association to be part of this first virtual Vision Zero Summit here together with ISA. Looking forward to it, and I already enjoyed the last hours already. It was very interesting. Yeah, we are happy that we can participate, and we probably can show you some best practice examples of our award that was newly installed. And additionally, we wanted to tell you a bit about the way that ILA and ISA took together in the last years, and how we implemented the award. Yeah, as you probably already recognized, I'm unfortunately not our present ILA president, Paul Ellis, who is very sad and sorry that he can't join. Actually, he's living and working in Malaysia and coming to Europe, and due to this new COVID stuff with Omicron, this quarantining stuff in the UK and travel changes made it impossible that he joined today. But anyhow, he sends his best regards and wishes to ISA, and thanks for the good cooperation until now, and is looking forward for the good cooperation in the next years. So yeah, best wishes from him. I wanted to start who we are. What is the International Lyme Association, to give you some insights to get an idea. And the International Lime Association is representing lime companies from all around the world, from all regions. We are representing not only industry directly via individual lime producers and dolomite producers, but we also have within our association national associations that spread our stuff to the world. Health and safety is, of course, a very big priority for us within the lime sector all around the world. The ILA was funded in 1970 in Paris. So actually, we wanted to have a 50th birthday anniversary last year, but due to COVID, it was also cancelled. Our main office is based in Germany, in Cologne. That's where I'm sitting at the moment. And the purpose of the International Lime Association is that we have a general assembly and a get-together once a year. We have an information exchange forum that is typically combined also with an exhibition of suppliers. And the main topics, of course, are climate change for us, industry and new industry innovations to the technical side. And of course, stuff like standardization and health and safety is also very important. Other topics are also the environmental protection. And of course, we are trying to keep in touch about the cooperation worldwide. Now I wanted to show you how we got together with ISA, because we were in contact with Helmut already for quite some long time, also with the German Lime Association. And I want to look back to our General Assembly in Cape Town. That was in 2018. And during that meeting, ILA became member of ISA Mining and the whole Vision Zero initiative. This was very great. We were very happy about that. And as Helmut mentioned, in 2018, we were like the first organization, association representing a whole industry sector that was joining this initiative. And this was something we were very proud of. And health and safety, as I already mentioned, is one of our top priorities. And also for our next own international exchange forum, we have a high priority, and we are looking forward to have our award also in person in the next years again. Here you also have some more impressions. Helmut was presenting during the session. We had a special session on health and safety, a very nice presentation from ISA and Vision Zero. And afterwards we did all the paperwork and joined Vision Zero and ISA. So this was very great. But actually, only joining is not enough. So we know that there was a very big road ahead of us, and we wanted to do some steps. So the idea was we wanted to go from compliance towards a real prevention culture, because this is important that we do something. And then, of course, our board of directors discussed a lot with Helmut and the health and safety experts, how we can proceed and how we can deal with the topic and to give it more presence also for our ILA members worldwide. And then, Helmut suggested we could start with an award. So he suggested to have an ILA Health and Safety Award in cooperation with Vision Zero and ISA. And the board of directors decided this is a very great idea. And as we by now, we have installed it for the first time and celebrated the winners. I guess it was roughly 2 weeks ago. It was great, and we had a good start, and we are looking to do it in person within the next years. The idea to give health and safety a bit more presence and also to have this culture that we wanted to have in our companies and in our lime producers worldwide. The idea was to have the award to stimulate this prevention culture and to raise the awareness for different topics, to motivate the workers, but also the teams, the managers, so the whole enterprise, to take everybody within the campaigns, to have it more present, and also to stimulate the communication about best practices in health and safety worldwide. Of course, to honor and motivate the best This is also very interesting and very important topic that, if you get an honor, you will probably be more motivated for the next time. Additionally, we also wanted to share all the best practice examples. And this is also something that we want to do, to share it with you, with ISA, so that Helmut can put it on your website also afterwards when you see the ideas that our colleagues will present later on in the session. The idea is to share this information to improve worldwide, and also probably different sectors can also improve from each other. This is the main idea why we wanted to have this. Then we discussed also with the board and with some members, how can we do it? And there we were also very thankful for Helmut's ideas. And he said, what is very important is to keep this award manageable somehow, because the resources are always limited a bit, also for us. And what is important, that the Lyme companies from all countries worldwide must have a chance to win and must have the same chances. So also small and medium enterprises must be able to have good ideas that are valuable and probably have a chance to win. An additional very important feature is that we were aiming for best practices and activities. So we do not want to award statistics. So we had the idea also for sharing this information so that the companies worldwide can also take them and implement them in their own companies. It is better to have these best practice examples. So afterwards, it is very important after the award that we share these submissions, probably via a newsletter or via our website. And this was something that we wanted to do. And we said that the criteria also is that the award must be somehow online, so that also the worldwide communication can happen very good. So everything worked out. So we had the definition how it could look like, but then there was this interesting thing: what categories do we want to award? And this was also done together with the colleagues from ISA, and we were thinking about, 5 to 7, 8 ideas what we can award. And finally, together with the board, we decided to start small and then probably let it grow in the next years. And we thought at first we wanted to have a category for technology, to have winners for innovative technology and technical solutions to avoid and minimize risks for health and safety. Additionally, of course, what is the main importance for health and safety issues is the prevention culture, to motivate the workforce. And so we wanted to have a second category on that. This is very important, I guess. And thirdly, we had the health prevention itself, so measures to support a healthy workforce and direct health protection measures that are implemented within the companies. So this is kind of a time scale, how everything worked out. So after we joined ISA in 2018, we were discussing this. We were prioritizing the health and safety, and then we started the first announcement of the award in 2020. Some postponements with COVID, unfortunately, but afterwards, we were able this year to have the final submissions until spring here in Europe. And then we had a great jury. I will come to that later on. That did a great job for evaluating all the ideas and all the measures. And finally, in the end of November, we had our first awarding of the International Lyme Association Health and Safety Award this November. So probably that you get an impression how we did it. We had an information flyer that we shared. It were actually 3 pages with general information for the companies. We also shared posters that they could put on their plants and on their sites to motivate the workers if they have good ideas and stuff, so that they can send us these best practice examples. Additionally, on the right side, you see the submission form. It was also pretty easy, 2 pages. with the basic information around the measure. And then the companies could send us, as they would like, pictures, PowerPoint presentations, videos. So received everything. It was great quality overall. It worked out very good. And the start was fine. Put it here so that you get an idea. Probably, I know that in other sectors, you are already doing this for a long time. And we just started, but we were quite happy that we had around 15 submissions. Also due to the situation that was complicated within the last 2 years, we thought this is a very good start. And especially one thing we were very happy about was that we had submissions from all around the world. So we had some submissions from Africa, Europe, Asia, South America also. So this was something we were very proud that everybody got involved. And also concerning our jury, I saw already in the participants lists some of these guys, which I'm very happy that they helped us. And many thanks to Helmut also for asking the others to join us, to help us with evaluating. So the jury consisted of great people from the health and safety departments. This was actually something that was really important for us, to have people that are already have a good idea what they're doing and already did this for some time. And thanks to you for all your help. Hopefully we will do this again in the future. We want to have our award annually now, and I'm looking forward to the cooperation in the next years. So this was very nice. Thanks for that. Wanted to explain you before we come to the winners so that you get to see the best practices at the end a little bit how the evaluation process worked. So it was, of course, also a bit tricky how we can do this because we can probably not meet in person. And we created an evaluation sheet, and this was also in discussions with Helmut and the experts and also our board of directors. And we wanted to evaluate, of course, the effectiveness of the idea. We wanted to see how applicable the idea is. If it is innovative, then what was a bit more important was the sustainability aspects and the future viability. And of course, what was for us, as you can see on the weighting factor, the most important thing is the empowerment and the engagement of the workforce. So the prevention culture feature, this was important for our board, and also Helmut said, yeah, this is of course an important thing. So the people of the jury could score all the submissions via an Excel sheet. And we also had, of course, several vet meetings. And in the first meeting, we got to know each other and discussed the ideas for afterwards. Everybody made their decisions, but what was very important and we were clear about is that probably if 1 or 2 submissions are pretty close, that we will have a discussion on that with the jury, which idea is probably the better one, or do we have another winner? So in the end, the jury decision was more important than only numbers. So this was something we decided, and I guess this was the right call. And for example, in this meeting, in the second meeting we had, we decided that besides the 3 main categories we wanted to award, we will have a special recognition for new risks. In this case, dealing with COVID. I will explain that submission later on. And this will be also in addition to the 3 submissions, we will have a new risks special recognition. And I guess something like this is a good idea to have on short notice a change in the awarding, and this worked out very well. Okay, and now after this long explanation how we come to the award and about the cooperation of ISA and ILA, I now want to show you the best practice examples. Some of the colleagues from the companies are with us, And we wanted to start with the first award, Prevention Culture. And this was granted to Grupo Calidra, a Mexican lime producer. And they had a very nice campaign. It was called I Don't Touch It If It Moves. And this was a campaign dealing with preventing accidents and incidents in hands. This was the winner in Prevention Culture. And now I spoke with Rafael from Calidra, who's with us. I will share their presentation, and he will explain the idea to you and explain what they did in their campaign. So Rafael, are you here?
Yes, good morning to everyone, and thank you for this time to share with you our ideas on how safety can be managed to decrease hand incidents. I prepared a presentation, and Frank is going to help me. The name of the campaign that we started, it's called I Don't Touch It If It Moves. And the idea came from our CEO. This is a phrase that he usually uses when he's complaining on us about the safety issues that we have. So he's always screaming everywhere, don't touch it if it moves. In this graph, you can see how the lost time incidents were behaving in the last years. The red bar shows the hand incidents, and the blue bar shows the total lost time incidents. As you can see, the percentage of hand incidents were increasing all over the years. Last year, 2020, it was almost half of the incidents, lost time incidents, were related to hands. So we decided to start with this campaign in order to attack that main cause of incidents. Next slide, please. We prepared a campaign that lasted 12 weeks. And every week we had a poster like this, and we took a different issue related all of them to hands. Week number 2 was focused on a concept that we call breaking the cycle. That means that you don't have to wait until you have very bad or very strong incidents before taking some actions. This picture shows how to break the cycle. The idea is to work with unsafe actions and conditions, to report them, to investigate them, and to analyze it in order to get the root causes of what causes these unsafety actions or conditions, and to start making prevention actions, not to wait until you have the incidents with losses or major events. So the idea was to be working on what we call the base of the pyramid in order to decrease the number of incidents. And all of the weeks were directed to one of the root causes that we were finding related to hand incidents. Number 3, week number 3, as we saw in the previous slide, was about awareness on how a person must think what he's going to do before doing it if he's going to use the hands. Next slide, please. Weeks 4 and 5 were directed to these 2 root causes that we detected. The first one is to make awareness of all the things that you do with your hands and how important your hands are to you, and that you must think what you're going to do before putting your hands in a risk. Week number 5 was directed to what we call task safety analysis. And that's a moment that every worker takes in order to think about the risks that he's going to face before starting the activity. And for that, we use a sheet in which the main risks that are detected in our facilities are listed, and every person has to go through that list in order to see if that's going to be present, that risk is going to be present in his activity, and what are the safety measures that has to be taken in order to avoid an incident. Next slide, please. Weeks 6 and 7 were directed to the lock and blocking procedure. Week 6 was used to remember everyone what are the steps that must be followed in order to work with this procedure. And week number 7 was directed to explain and to remember everyone what are the devices that we have for blocking, and what are the energies that are present in every risk task that has to be done, and that has to be blocked before someone starts to work on it, especially if you are going to put your hands on it. Next slide, please. Week number 8 was directed to recommendations and how you should be using your hands when you are working in the field with risks present. And week number 9 was directed to remember everyone that there is a lot of different gloves that can be used to protect your hands. And here in the slide, you can see the 6 most common gloves that are used in the industry and that we always keep in our facilities. The idea was to show them that, or to remember them, because that's something that they already know, that there are 6 different hand protection gloves, and their function and their structure is different because they protect everyone from different risks. So there was a practice during this week in order to reinforce the idea of the right gloves must be used for every risky task. Next slide, please. Weeks 10 was directed to the protection devices that we have installed in our facilities. And it goes from physical devices to electronical devices to procedures that are programmed in our control system. All the protection devices that we have were listed and were remembered to everyone. Week 11 was directed to communication, and the safety signs that we have installed in our facilities, and the difference between the prevention signs and the prohibition signs, and where and how they must be taken into account when a person must be doing a risky activity with their hands. Next slide, please. Week 12 was used to thank everyone and to remember them the main moments that we have in the campaign. During these 12 weeks, we did a lot of activities that involved family. Most of the pictures that you see now on the slide are in one of the activities in which every worker had to take home their gloves and ask their children to put some paint on their hands and to paint the kids' hands in the back part of the gloves, so that when they are using their gloves in their daily activities, they are not only seeing his hands, but also his children's hands to remember that they must be careful when they are using their hands because their family are waiting for him or for her. And the idea is that this person, this worker, has to have his hands healthy so that he can play with his children or her children. These pictures were taken during the campaign, and they were integrated into this poster to remember them that his or her hands are not just his or hers, but of his family, and that he must keep them safe in order to go back safe home. Next slide, please. This is what happened, the results that we have. In the first 9 months of the year, we had 15 lost time incidents related to hands. And in the last 3 months, those months in which we were working with the campaign, it decreased to 1. Even though the time in which these numbers are measured is not the same. The first one is for 9 months and the second one is for 3.5 months. Even though the time frame is not the same, well, you can see that the results were very good. And with this, the idea was not only to get those benefits from the campaign, but also, and most important, was to tell everyone that it can be done, that it is possible not to have lost time incidents in hands, that it is possible that if you take into practice all the ideas and the different items that we were working during these weeks, hand incidents can be avoided. And next time, please. And just to tell you, just remember, I don't touch it if it moves, and it works very good. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the ideas that you can share related to this area. It'll be very helpful for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafael, for sharing this this great campaign. I can probably add to this presentation that we received a very, very nice video campaign also connected to the topic. It was really impressive, and also the jury was impressed a lot. This was great, and I will talk to the colleagues if we can share that with you. So I wanted to continue directly to the. Can you see my screen already?
Yes.
So the next one, you see it now, the technology?
Yes.
Perfect. So the next winner in the next category was for technology, and this award was granted to Shefakalk Malaysia, and their efforts were noise reduction in the kiln and crushing area of their site in Malaysia. And if I'm right, then also the colleagues from Malaysia are here, and I wanted to give you the stage to share your screen, please. Mohammed is here, I guess. You should be able to share your screen now and to explain the idea.
Okay, Dr. Frank, we are here now. Can you see our slide?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Okay, today.
Hello, hi. Good evening. My name is Muhammad Izzuddin from Shefakalk, and this is my colleague, Zahan and Sham. I want to present to you regarding to our project. There is noise improvement in our factory. The issue, highlighted issue regarding the noise in SKM is excessive noise exposure to workers, especially in kiln and hydration. Wandering noise issue from year to year, and noise reduce hearing loss issues among long service employees. Okay, can this the slide of the excessive noise exposure. This the early reading that we took before the changes in the area Kiln 3 limestone feeding. This the reading is 94.2 decibel. At the Kiln 2 limestone feeding is exceed 100. There is 105.5, and at the area crushing 3 is 99.1.
I guess we still have the first slide. I guess you need to skip the slides.
Or you go to the presentation mode, please. Then we can see it.
Presentation.
You must.
Can you see? Hold on.
Wait.
Or you go to the left side and click on the slides, then we can see them as well.
You can skip them directly. Yeah, okay. This is also fine. It's fine like that. It's fine like that.
Which one is the from?
It's perfect like you have it now. You can show. You can speak now. It's perfect now.
You can go to display settings, and when it's on the upper side of your screen, click on display settings. Do you see it?
Okay.
Yeah, and then swap.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah,
Yes.
excellent.
Okay.
Okay, we continue. Is the boundary noise issue that we took at the Kiln Hydration Station 4 is from 2018 and 2019. As the N4 is about 70 dB, and 2019 is exceed to 70 dB. Okay, initial step to tackle the problem that we hiring third party. There is professional team to do the engineering noise control study with recommendation action. And the synopsis of the study that this is the instrument that they use for the study, and this the result that they took before. There is same as our result. Solution. Installing rock wool insulation to the cladding wall. With this, we managed to contain the noise in the building and prevent the noise from spreading to outside. This is the reading that we took at the outside of the building. The initial reading is 94.2 dB, and after we do the wall insulation with the rock wool, the noise is reduced and the reading is 87.2 dB. This is the crushing plant. The noise problem is happen when we start to recycle the hot air from the chimney return to blower. When we recycle the hot air, the noise from the blower traveling through the pipe and make the noise spreading to environment loudly. after we relocate the muffler, we managed to block the noise from traveling through the pipe and reduce the noise from 99.1 dB to 76.8 dB. Changing the feeding system. The Z-Bags is the original feeding system, but the Z-Bag is broken because some issues. So we using the incline bags for the feeding system. The incline bag feeding system is working very well, but the noise is so loud that's reached until 100 and 105.5 dB. So because of this issue, we still need to repair the Z-belt and use the Z-bags. Then the noise reduced from exceed 100 to 98.8 dB. This is the noise boundary N4 that we took after the works we done at 2020. The noise reduced to 66 dB overall.
Actually, for the noise boundary, actually from time to time, actually it's increasing in our plant. So you can see from 2018, you can see the average of the boundary noise is 66. And then it increased to 67 in 2019. It is because actually since our plant is the old plant and there is old plant, old machines, and also increment of the additional of the machines in the plant, so it become increasing of the boundary noise from time to time. So with the improvement plan that we have done after we do the study, so we managed to reduce it in 2020 from 67 dBA in 2019 to 64.1 in 2020. Okay.
Okay, that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, back to you, Dr. Frank.
Thank you very much for sharing your improvements in this noise reduction. Noise is a feature that is often neglected by all the health and safety staff. So also this was a decision by the jury that is great importance to reduce noise. And we decided to select Schaefer Calcus with their measures as winner. So but now I want to share my screen again. Come to the next category. This was the health prevention. And the Health Prevention Award was granted to Eatwala Lime, a lime producer from South Africa, and they had very great improvements for their occupational health and primary healthcare clinic. That was also really impressive. I don't know if colleagues are here that will present, or I can do that instead.
Good afternoon, sir. It's Charity from Eatwala Lime.
Hello. Do you have a presentation? Hello. Or shall I present?
But I can share my presentation, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I share?
Yeah, you can share now.
Can you see my presentation? Hello?
Not yet.
Not yet. Now it's starting. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charity Rahanya. I'm the risk manager here at Eatwala Lime in South Africa. So our operation is based in the province of the Northern Cape, in a small town called Daniesgate. So we have a workforce of about 240 permanent employees and 200 contractors. So in total, our workforce is at 440. So yes, we've entered the ILA. We've entered the ILA competition where when there was an opportunity to share the ideas that we had with regards to our clinic. So before, our occupational health clinic was outsourced to a certain company, and then we didn't have fully control over the staff and over the whole system of the occupational clinic. And then with that, since the operation of the mine in 1975, our clinic was outsourced. But then we had to take a decision last year in March 2021 to say, if we want our occupational health system process to work, we need to change the way we're doing things. And we need to move away from being outsourced, as we don't have control over the whole system, because we had issues with medical staff resigning in a short period of time. So we found ourselves having to change the OMP or the doctor or the nurses on a weekly basis. And that was putting our occupational health system at risk. And also the dysfunctional of the health clinic, resulting in backlog of medicals during the staff turnover. At some point, the clinic had to be totally closed due to no staff being available. And then also what was also putting us at risk is the monitoring of employees' chronic condition. There was, we've got a high percentage of employees with hypertension, as well as diabetes and HIV and AIDS, who needed constant monitoring so that they can perform their duties. And then also, with the workforce increasing from the previous years and our clinic being a one room was becoming too small for us. And then that was the decision that we had to take, that we need to take an ownership of our own clinic. That's when we filed a notice to that outsource company to say, you'll be saving a notice and we'll be taking over. And then them taking over, they took the whole system. They took all the equipment that they've been using, and we had to start from scratch. We had to start from appointing the doctor on site, our legal appointee, Dr. Muloyi, as well as the two occupational practitioners who will be assisting the legal appointee in our medical surveillance. And also we had to think about moving the clinic to a new building, as the 1-2 room one was no longer enough to accommodate the entire workforce. And then also, as I've indicated, that we are in an isolated area. Our nearest town is 150 kilometers from here, meaning that we also needed to make sure that we have proper emergency equipment that we needed to purchase in an budgeted CAPEX vote. And then also within that time, during the takeover, the DMR, our Department of Mineral and Resources from the government, had also issued 3 new COP codes of practice in terms of HIV and AIDS, which we needed to follow. And also the other one was involving self-testing, that was issuing HIV self-testing kits to the employees and their immediate families. And then, yes, seeing that we were also in an isolated area, managing the chronic condition, because some of the employees, they don't have access to medical aid, which was making it difficult for them to monitor their chronic condition. That's when we had to approach the Department of Health with regards to assisting us with chronic condition, as well as all this thing was happening during the COVID time, and also we had to fit in the COVID preventive measures there. And then I must say that within the first 6 months of taking over the clinic, we've received a visit from the DMR medical inspector, who came to audit our clinic. And yeah, to our surprise, the audit was a very success with no findings. And then within that 6 months, we also conducted our first World AIDS Day campaign, which was a success where we tested 300 employees in our clinic. That was also including the non-medical employees. And then with that being said, yeah, this was the picture of the old clinic, the facility that we've been having, which meaning that the place was too small and the workforce was increasing. We needed to think about moving this 2-room into another place or expanding the building. But yes, unfortunately, last year due to COVID and with the loss of sales that affected our business, we had to went through a section 189 where we had to retrench 18 employees. And then, but then the strategic retrenchment was more focused on removing a certain level of employees from the foreman side. And then with that being said, we noticed that the level that was retrenched, they left an open office space block. And then we then decided that let us utilize that empty office block and revamp it into a clinic. And that's when we started with the project of converting the office block into an occupational health clinic. And I must say that now in our clinic, we've got 3 examination rooms, we've got 2 consultation rooms, we've got a pharmacy, we've got a 2-room vault where we made employees' medicals are safely secured. And also we've got separate bathrooms for both male and females, and while the sisters are performing their duties. I can say that the flow is now perfectly, and also it was difficult to manage or maintain infection control, because as you know that with mining workforce, you've got employees who have TB, and then when they come to the clinic, we need to make sure that the airflow in the clinic is properly run through. So I must say that our clinic now, it's one of those clinics that when you enter, you become proud of. And then yeah, those are the things that our clinic. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop sharing then. Hello?
I guess this was only somebody who forgot to mute the mic. So if you want to make some final remarks,
okay,
yes. Although we are a bit in a hurry, so you need to speak up.
Maybe 1 minute.
I'll wrap it up. Sorry?
Maybe 1 minute, please.
1 minute, please. I will wrap it up in 1 minute. Okay, so I must say that with the full functional clinic, and we've managed to retain the staff turnover. And also we have gained confidence from our employees. And then the Department of Health has also issued us with a memorandum of understanding, whereby we've got a direct access to the state facilities in terms of the laboratories, if we need to send blood tests, in terms of chronic condition medication, we're supplying it directly to the employees. So there is no longer a middleman. And also we have found out that our absenteeism has also went down, because our employees, they no longer need to travel, they no longer need to stay at home and not feeling well, because everything is being done on site. We're monitoring them, we're issuing medication, and we also refer them to specialists, and we also have a doctor on site who also, and the sisters who also are assisting in monitoring our employees' health. And yeah, I must say that this clinic is not only the pride of the Idwala Lime, but of the whole community. We are a community of 23,000 in this area. And yes, we carrying the community. Whenever there's issues, we don't say you are not an employee. We do the doctor also support go out in terms of the social responsibility that he has. And that's it from my side.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I liked also the impressions that you got very clearly from the before and after pictures. I guess this was really impressive. I also like from the idea, the campaigns you did, like The Biggest Loser and Stop Drinking, and similar campaigns that you're doing at the clinic. This is very nice. If you stop sharing the screen on the top, then I will take over again and present the last measure. Can you stop sharing the screen? On top, there must be a button. Yep. So finally, I wanted to do it short because time is running. As mentioned, we had a special recognition, and this was for new risks dealing with COVID-19, and this was granted to Tarmac CRH, a company from the UK. And this was for the implementation of the all-year COVID-19 temperature monitoring. I will show it to you briefly. The idea was in the very early times of COVID coming, there were no vaccines and stuff. And so temperature measuring and monitoring was one of the biggest things you could do to be safe and to limit the risks of transmission to the plant and to the site. Widespread testing was not available, and so this was very viable in terms of symptom detection. So Tarmac did a very nice thing. They did a completely automatic oil temperature scanning of the drivers without human interaction, and so no people that can, where the COVID can be transmitted to. There was a strong risk to it because at their plants there were more than 450 vehicles a day. So it was important to do something. Here are some impressions. In the entrance of the plants, they had an extra access lane to temperature monitoring station, to like a booth. And there they had, of course, sanitizers, and then there were step-by-step procedures. As for example, as you see on the right side, the scanning of the temperature, it was completely automatic. The machine you can see there. And after the measurement, there was automatically printed out a verification certificate that you got if your temperature was in the right range, and there were no risks, at least not then if you're on fiber or something. And if the temperature was too high, there was automatically like an alarm, and the weight bridge was also triggered so that the people know that in this time you are not allowed to go to the plant. This was, in terms of the early COVID things, a very nice measure, we guess, and so we had the special recognition. But now we realize that with all the mutations coming up and nobody knows if the vaccines are working, this will probably stay installed for quite some time, unfortunately, and will be with us. So also in case of detection, other infections besides COVID, it's a nice measure. So the company will keep it like it is, hopefully not forever. But anyhow, it was a nice measure. Yeah. So in the very end, I want to thank again that we as ILA could present here our award. We were very thankful for the assistance of the jury members of ISA, and we're looking forward for the next years for the way together, ISA and ILA, with the cooperation. And thank you everybody for your attention. And of course, thank you the colleagues from the companies for presenting their measures.
Okay, thank you very much to the ILA, and thank you very much, Frank. And I think we are a little bit late, but we should take the time to give a big applause to all these winners. And in my opinion, not only the winners, everybody who took part is a winner. And this is the idea behind such an award, that we really use these best practice ideas, these innovative ideas, and we copy them in other companies and other places and other countries. So a big congratulations from ISA and from all of us, and I think from the ISA Mining board members, to this innovative ideas to all these people. And this is real leadership and showing responsibility and commitment, what we need to make progress in safety and health and for Vision Zero. And you can also see how it can develop to cooperate with the ISA Mining. So I think as well the approach can be copied. What we did with the ILA, with the lime industry, we can do with other industries as well. We would be happy to assist you. So thank you very much again. I see a lot of applause and a lot of hands in the chat, and I can fully agree. And I think we can announce that we will put all the innovative ideas not only on the ILA website, but also on the documentation we will get to our ISA Mining Pro website and also to the other places. So please look the videos, they are really worthwhile to look, and it's fantastic. Now let us continue without break again. It's a little bit tough, but feel free to stand up and do some exercise by yourself. I will do that in a minute. And now I hand over to our Vice President for the Middle Americas and the Caribbean regions, Roberto Hermosilla. He is the famous man mentioned yesterday by Jose Raul Gonzalez. He asked the right questions. How many accidents do you want to produce? How many dead people do you want to produce? And what can be the answer? The answer can be only 0. And then you have them, the CEOs and the managers. So we must ask this question and we must learn from Roberto. Roberto, you will be the moderator for the final session 4. I hand over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Helmut. Good day, everyone. I have the honor to moderate the last section of the day. The topic is how to develop Vision Zero competences for future mining. We will have 4 excellent speakers and professionals with great experience. In the end of the presentation, we will have, I'm not sure, it's a few minutes for questions. I will appreciate that we keep the time assigned, please.